On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're taking you to the charming West Village neighborhood in New York City, where you'll meet Elyce Arons, the visionary CEO of Frances Valentine and co-founder of Kate Spade. Elyce gives us a tour of her family's nearly 200-year-old colorful townhouse that's full of fabulous art and punchy prints. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos. And today, members will get an inside look at Elyce's vibrant and curated Frances Valentine office and showroom in downtown New York City. It's so much fun and not to miss.
Hi, Homeworthy. Welcome to our New York City townhouse. Come on in. I'm Elyce Arons, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Frances Valentine, and welcome to my West Village home. My house was built in 1851. We, along with 3 other homes on the block, and we are the 4th owners of this house. Everyone has lived here for 50 years. I know the history of all of the previous owners, and we have lived here about 25 years. And it is a beautiful home on a beautiful block, and we feel so lucky to be here. The red door actually has a real story. So right after the Depression, Dorothy Draper, who was this fantastic entrepreneurial interior designer, she was a pioneer for women. She had the idea to paint your door bright red as a way to lift up everyone's mood after the Depression and a sign of welcome. And the owner of the home then was a woman by the name of Virginia Kirkus, and she owned the famous Kirkus Review, which reviewed books. And one of the books that she reviewed was Dorothy Draper's book that came out at the time, and we believe they were friends, and that is why my door is painted bright tulip red. And the owners from whom we bought it kept the tradition, kept painting the door red every single year, and we do the same. We have people, I don't know how many a day, maybe 100 a day, actually take pictures in front of our red door. It's a real focal piece for the block, and it's a happy place to take pictures in front of for weddings or your holiday photo, whatever. And then we had a couple people knock on our door a couple months ago. They bought a house about a block away, and they asked if they could also paint their door red, and could we give them the color of paint? So we did, and they have their door painted red down the block, so it's nice. I'm a very unlikely person to end up in the fashion business. I grew up on a cattle ranch in Kansas. I was the last of 4 daughters, but I always really loved vintage clothing and shopping and fashion. And my mother is an artist and did all the costumes for our local community theaters, so we had access to a lot of costumes in our house and had a lot of fun with it. And I think I just loved fashion all the way through. And when I got to college, Mary Tyler Moore was a really big influence for me growing up, because she was that single woman who made it on her own in a man's world, and she had great style. And so did Rhoda, and so did Phyllis on that show. And so I got to college, and I was going to major in journalism. And lo and behold, I met this fantastic woman who was just down the hall from me in our dorm named Katie. And Katie was also a journalism major, also loved Mary Tyler Moore, also loved vintage shopping. And we immediately bonded. She had the best sense of humor, and we were both big pranksters. And I still am. But we had so much fun together and immediately bonded. And so kind of knew we always wanted to have a business together, even though we had no idea what that was going to be. So cut to, we both made it to New York, worked in the fashion business, and It was Andy Spade's, Katie's husband's idea. They called me one night and said, okay, we figured it out. We know what business you two are going to have. It's a handbag company. So I quit my job. We took on another partner, so there were 4 of us that started Kate Spade, and we started making handbags. And we were broke and scrappy and made it work, and worked out of Katie and Andy's apartment for about 2 years, and then got our, the whole thing, it unfolds as history. We loved that company. It was like our first child for all of us. We owned that from 1993 until 2006, and we sold that business to Neiman Marcus. And it was actually great timing for all of us because we had all just had children. And I had just had my 3rd child when we sold the business. So we had this wonderful hiatus of 8 years where we were just raising our kids and being moms and being homemakers and really enjoying that part of our lives. And we were out to dinner one night, and Katie and I were talking about it. We're like, should we get back into it? Should we do it again? And we decided we wanted to. So we started Frances Valentine. We launched it in 2016 with just handbags and shoes. And the rest is kind of history. Welcome to the foyer. So we did a few things in here. Of course, we start with a lot of color. This rug is from Morocco that we picked up on our trip there. And then we take the red version all the way into the hallway and all the way up the stairs. All 3 flights has the red carpeting. And I love red, as you know. A really beautiful piece of artwork here that I love. And then the interesting thing about the foyer is these are original floorboards. And the last time we had them sanded, the guy said, this is the last time you can do this because they're getting really, really thin. So I think next time we'll have to probably replace the floor. But we really like the old flooring because of the wide planks. It's really beautiful. So this mirror was originally gold. And we have a lot of greens in our home all throughout. And so we decided to paint the frame green, which is really fun. And then, of course, I love flowers. I have fresh flowers everywhere. I am not much of a flower arranger, but that's actually okay because I really just like a whole group of the same type of flower. And I put them all over the house in different vases. I love the history of living in an old home. There's nooks and crannies in this house that the gutted versions don't have. There are stained glass windows. If you look up my staircase, there's a stained glass window up there. And every time you walk up the stairs, there's a little bit of light through that window, but it's the history of this house. And I think living in a place, it's personal to the people who have lived here and loved this place before. And I think that's really special. So now we're going to move into the living room. And this is a room where we entertain all the time and a lot. And so one of the things that was important to me and my husband was to create a space where we could move things around really easily. So a lot of our chairs, these chairs are on wheels, so we can just pull them up to the group. We'll play charades here, we play games, we'll have singing and do a lot of different things. And then I also have a lot of these little sets of ottomans around. This is a Clarence House fabric, by the way, that I love. But we have these ottomans sitting around, and normally those go right behind the settee, but I moved them over here today just because we were all sitting and talking. And I've got another set that can go over there, and then you see I've got these 4 chairs that can move into the corner, so you can actually create a really big space, or half of them could really be put away. So it's a really great way to have a space that's really flexible because we entertain a lot. So there are some interesting pieces of this house that were here before we got here that we loved and have kept in the house. And this is, one of these beautiful wood mirrors. This was here when we arrived, and it's been here ever since the house was built. Really great. It's missing a few pieces. We need to get it repaired, but it's just, it's one of the things we love about this place. Another is you can see the molding throughout the house, and it's typical of these Greek Revival, and this was late Greek Revival homes. But I think it's really special. My husband had this fantastic idea of putting soft air conditioning ducts behind the molding up there, which is actually worked out well because we don't have to have any air conditioning ducts anywhere now. This is one of the original chandeliers. We've got 2 of them here, and this was converted by the last owners. They used to be gas, and there's still the gas spigots on these, which you can see. You can just turn the gas spigots on and off, which is kind of fun. They were converted to electric by the last owners of the house. Next, to talk about the fireplaces, one of the reasons we really loved this home and we wanted to buy this home was because of the 7 fireplaces in it. I'm such a fireplace freak. I love fires. And so we used to burn fires here, and it would smoke up the whole house. And part of the reason is because these were originally coal-burning fireplaces. So they're not very deep, and they do get smoky very easily. So we put in a fan and a vent, nothing really worked. So what we did was we converted 3 of the fireplaces to gas. And we have fires all the time in our fireplaces, but I just absolutely love the fire. So we bought these on Hudson Street. The name of the store is End of History. And it was right after we closed on this house, and we thought, let's go buy one thing for the house. So we bought these 3 pieces. This is where they arrived, and this is where they have lived for the last 24 years. And they've not broken, and they're not chipped or anything. So a lot of people ask about all of the artwork we have, and it's funny because so many of our pieces are through friendships, and this was one of them. This artist, Paco Simon, was a friend of my husband's, an artist from Barcelona, and my husband bought this from him many, many years ago. But it's a really beautiful piece, and I love it because it's so graphic. He was a student of Miro and followed Miro, and so I think it's one of those really special pieces in our home. Next, over here, these were mostly my husband's collection over time, but these 2 in particular were wedding gifts to us. And this one is by an artist named Peter Hopkins. He used candy wrappers to make this piece, and then he put acrylic over the top. So it's really, really cool. This one's by also our artist friend, Steve Miller, and that was the place where we got married, and he painted that scene for us, so really nice. Then you come across all of our personal pieces, and these are pieces that my children made. My youngest made this one, really fun. Middle daughter, Jane, made this one. My daughter, Katie, painted these 2. And this one's actually from a friend of ours, Gareb Shamus, notably the founder of Comic-Con. He's also an artist. This piece by Barbara Bachelot Gross, I bought right when my husband and I got married, and I thought, oh my gosh, that red will look fantastic over our fireplace, so over the mantle. So, and it fits perfectly. I just love that piece. You know, it's funny because I kind of sometimes feel like art picks the person instead of us picking the art, because when a piece just screams out at you, you know you really want to have it. And we collect things, and then I have a lot of friends gift us art. We also pick up art pieces when we're traveling because we like to remember a place. So we'll pick up a sculpture. My husband, I think, picked this up in either Thailand or Bali before he met me. So we've got many pieces like that throughout the house. But we picked this one up in the Caribbean because we really like to support local artists in those areas. So we picked this one up in the Caribbean. That was a birthday gift from me to my husband. It's a Frida Kahlo, but I found it in London at this gallery. Gift from Andy Spade to me. And a lot of these are gifts, but you know, we love art, so they're great gifts, and we've been able to fill our home with them, which is really nice. This one is a piece that I really adore. This is by an artist named Peter Buckman, and Peter really focuses on the 40s, eras of the 40s and 50s, and so my husband bought this for me because he said it looked like me, which is so flattering. I have my hair like this because of her. So when we moved in, we decided not to do a lot of work. There were some things we had to do, which were completely redo the plumbing and heating, AC, that kind of thing. But we decided not to change anything else about the house. We have really beautiful Greek Revival molding throughout the house. that is all hand cast. It's gorgeous. The chandeliers are original to the house, and there are so many original things that we did not want to even scrape off a lot of the paint because of the history that was behind all of it. So we did not do a lot. We just did what we had to do for the house to become a little bit more modern living. I'll tell you, a lot of the houses on this block have all got renovated on the inside, and the facades are beautiful, but they've lost a lot of the character that I think is so special about living in one of these old homes. So we have kind of an eclectic feeling about decoration. I like vintage pieces, and I like to mix it with modern pieces. So also famous artists with my kids' artwork. So there's a lot of mixing and matching, but I think that's what makes it feel so personal and makes it really homey. And your living room, you have to love it. It can't just be this formal space that is for when people come over. You should love it the second you walk in every single time. I throw it together. I actually love a lot of patterns and colors, as you can tell by everything at Frances Valentine. But I think if you have some really good solids and then you mix your favorite patterns in together, and there are some patterns that really work well together. And we actually used an interior interior decorator for helping me find all of the patterns, because there's, it's just like going into a library and not knowing what book to pick. He is fabulous. We worked with Steven Sklaroff. He's fantastic, and I did not do this by myself. This one is a Will Cotton, also a gift from my husband, and this is one of Will's earlier works. I love his candy. It makes you so happy to look at that one. And then this is our really longtime friend, Lowell Boyers, who also an artist, and beautiful, beautiful work. And he's been painting. His new works are incredible. This is a really interesting thing. I just found this over in the corner. We've had it for a really long time, but this is a photograph of the house. And I think this was one of the first census questionnaires ever done before, and where they actually ended up taking photographs of homes. So this was during the Depression, and this is a picture of our house right here. And there's one more thing I want to show you before we leave the living room area. So these are the original pocket doors. They still work, and the beauty of these is we host a lot of birthdays here, and if we want to have a surprise birthday party, the best thing to do is to invite all the people to hang out in here and hide, to be really quiet. Your victim comes in here, you pour them a glass of wine and say, oh, we're so excited, to go out to your birthday dinner. And then all of a sudden we open these doors up and surprise, which is really, really great. Another funny thing, these are all original too, all the hardware here, but our really good friend, Martin Daly, who comes over to help us a lot in the house when we need something, and we need an artisan to fix it. So Martin was over here working on something one day, and he looked at these, and they were all painted and gross and everything, and in his Irish accent, he said, Elyce, would you think about maybe taking off the hardware and giving it a wash? And I said, yeah, sure, yeah, go ahead and do it. And voila, Martin made these look gorgeous, and he does it kind of throughout our house. When he sees something that he doesn't think is quite right, he fixes it, and he's a dear friend. Let's move into the dining room. So my house is on Bank Street in the historic West Village, and it's called Bank Street, as lore goes, because of the yellow fever epidemic in 1922. That meant this used to be all farmland. And in 1922, with the epidemic that happened, a lot of the banks moved uptown, and the Bank of New York apparently moved to Bank Street. Cut to, a lot of people started moving up here and building homes here, and it's really when the builders started to move to Bank Street and start to build here. This home was built with 3 others on this block, so there were 4 together by a man named, he was a builder named Reuben Wood, and he built these 4 homes together. One of them no longer exists, it's an apartment building now, but there are 3 left here. And they were built in 1851 by this builder. And Reuben Wood, who was the builder, put his daughter in this home. So this was the builder's daughter's home for 50 years. She lived here, ended up selling it to a couple who had rented from her, and that was Virginia Kirkus and her family. And then Virginia Kirkus rented out rooms to Gene and Shelley Appleton, who ended up buying the house from them. And each of them lived here 50 years, which I find so interesting. And they were all such interesting people with, really colorful lives. We were lucky enough to meet the Appletons, and they trusted us enough with their home, where we bought it from them in 2000 and have lived here ever since. The nice thing about it is, because we became friends with them, we hosted their 50th wedding anniversary here for them about, 10 years after we bought the house from them. And all of their friends came, and we let them open the door, and it was such an amazing celebration of all of us together. And they're no longer with us, but their spirits really live in this home. This is our dining room, and we do dine in here often. We have family dinners every night that my daughters are home. And what's great about this is this table was a gift from our friend Robert Lighton, who owned British Khaki Furniture. So he gave us the table as a wedding gift and these great chairs. And the chairs were blonde. Of course, I painted them red. But this table is fabulous. It's very heavy, so we don't move it very often. But if we're hosting a party in here, we'll move the whole thing over in front of the fireplace, which is fine. As you can see, I layer my rugs. Part of it is that they're vintage rugs and they receive a lot of wear all the time. So we bought this overlay one in Morocco, because I love Moroccan rugs. And it really kind of saves the larger vintage rug. And it also, creates kind of a walkway space. So it's nice. This settee came in a pair. I bought it in Hudson, New York, 25, 30 years ago. And the other one's at a different home, but this one's in chocolate velvet, and it works perfectly for my dog because she can lay on there. A, you don't even see her, but B, the chocolate velvet sofa does not look dirty at all or furry. And then come this way a little bit, I'll show you. Here's the other chandelier. A lot of family photos. We have a lot more throughout the house, but I just love incorporating some of the family pieces here. So these pieces are really interesting. This whole silver set was my husband's family's, so his mother prized this. It was one of those things when you're a kid and you're running around the house, you're like, don't get near the silver. So Andy just really loves this whole piece, and it was his family, so it's nice. This piece I adore, so I gave this piece, it's a James Nair piece, I gave this to my husband Andy, and my business partner and good friend Andy Spade had collected many of these, and he sold me one for Andy's birthday. So that's the history of that piece. And these are James Nair's earlier works. And then this is another British khaki piece that we actually bought from Robert because I just love having this side buffet. We use it for a bar when we're hosting parties. And then here's two more of my ottomans that I use, and I move those into the other room for, big circle of friends, which is really fun. We still entertain a lot. We do a lot of cocktail party things. So we'll have easier things and past hors d'oeuvres and sushi and that type of thing. But the bar is always open and the alcohol is flowing usually. Go-to drink is a Heineken. I am a beer girl. I am. I'm not fussy or fancy, and I first thing I do is crack open a beer when I get home from work. And then this is the only space that we really have any space to put our glassware and our china, etc. I of course have a 24-piece place of china from my grandmother that I never use, but it's taken up all the space over there in my china closet. So, okay, it's really messy in there because I crammed everything in there for this. But it's 24 pieces, and it's not just 24 plates. It's 24 plates, 24 salad plates, 24 bread plates, 24 coffee cup plates, saucers. There are 24 cups. There's all sorts of serving, gravy dishes, platters, everything. That's taking up this entire closet. I think I dress as I decorate my home. I think they're very similar. I like color a lot. I like comfort. and I like vintage things and I like modern things. And a lot of what we make at Frances Valentine are vintage silhouettes with vintage patterns, but really bold colors with modern, there's some modern sensibility to it. And part of that is the comfort level and the fabrics we use, as well as adding pockets to everything we possibly can, and easy closures, things that modern women really like. So I change my bracelets and my jewelry every day, but these, I have to say, are my go-to. I love these stack bracelets. They're, of course, Frances Valentine. It was one of the things that I loved doing, was combining all of these different stacked beads. And this one's called my Capo stack. I love it because it just feels so colorful and festive, so I wear it often. I do not sleep with them nor shower with them. They come on when I get dressed in the morning, and they come off before I go to bed. This is everybody's favorite new picture. This was our Halloween costume this year, Mr. and Mrs. Fox. I found these great masks in Sag Harbor at the kite store, and I bought one and brought it home. My husband was like, "Oh my God, we have to go as a couple." So we went back and bought another one, and we went as Mr. and Mrs. Fox. And I promised I would try this on so you can see how the mouth moves when you talk. Okay, you may have to cut this part. Hi, Homeworthy. Welcome to the West Village. This was the best Halloween costume this year. We went as Mr. and Mrs. Fox. I love this mask because I can drink a beer with this mask on. It's actually pretty incredible. Like, I'll scare people when I open the front door in this mask. It's great. It's great. And I can still make the sound. And now we are in the kitchen. And the nice thing about this kitchen is it's a working kitchen. We cook in here all the time as we entertain a lot. The beauty of a townhouse is having these old doors. So we had these really great pocket doors, both sides, French doors. Sorry, they're not pocket. We have these really great French doors. And so if we're having a dinner party in there, maybe the kids are cooking dinner in here, or there's two separate things going on, these really provide some quiet and privacy, which are nice. And then we had originally put in a farm table in here, with a French farm table with chairs. And we had that here for about a year, and we were like, this isn't our thing. It's not comfortable. So we knew we really wanted a comfortable space in the kitchen where we could just hang out, have coffee, and read the paper. So these, again, were British khaki. We bought these from Robert Leighton years ago, and they're this really great cane material with teak. So this is basically our kind of hangout in the kitchen area. And this rug, my uncle bought this from me when he was doing some work in Kazakhstan about 30 or 40 years ago. And it has just maintained its color and beauty and luster. It's just such a great rug. And then these, my husband and I were able to pick out the pattern and the color. Like, this is real. It's not, it looks like it's plastic, but it's not. And they last forever, these chairs. It's this company that's up in Chelsea who makes them, Maison Gatti. And I've sent so many people there to make their own chairs, but you can pick out your own pattern, your own colors, and it's really, really special. And you're supposed to kind of take these out and hose them down a couple times a year, just to keep the straw really nice and limber. And then, you know, the rest of this house, we just did the regular sort of subway tile in here, and marble countertops, which were normal for this type of house. We picked the marble out when we bought the house. It's such beautiful marble. It's really great. Pick the marble out. We always love the butcher block tabletop, and have storage underneath here. You know, you can just tell when a place has karma, good karma. And this house has excellent karma. And it felt like home the second we walked in. But there is a story to how we even were able to buy this house. We had a mutual friend who happened to be a real estate broker. And we told her we were looking for a townhouse, and she'd shown us a few others. We lost one on 11th Street to they're good friends now. But we really wanted to have a townhouse. And I'd always walk down these streets when I was young and broke thinking, who gets to live in these places? And I'd always dreamed of living in one. And so when we got married and were able to buy a house together, we started looking at townhouses. And the broker was friends with the people who owned this house, and they were named the Appletons. And so they invited us over for drinks, and we hadn't seen the house, anything. And we walked in the door, and they said, just so you know, our house isn't for sale, but would you like to see the house? So they gave us a whole tour of the house. They had a tenant who lived on the 2 top floors, and we had the best time with them. They were the most interesting people. They were both 80 years old, and they just had stories. She was an art collector, an artist herself. The amazing art pieces that she had collected in Paris through the years when she was a teenager. We walked in and there was a Chagall leaning against the wall, and it's just, the pieces she had were so amazing. He had been the head of the Ladies Garment Workers Union for many years, and he was such a natty dresser. They were just cool people. They had amazing stories. So they told us about 10 times while we were having cocktails with them, our house isn't for sale. So we left thinking, that's okay. We don't, but we made 2 really great friends tonight. People will know the rest of our lives. So of course, the next day, they called us and said, do you want to buy our house? And that's how we ended up with Bank Street. I think they felt so connected to this place that they needed to hand it over to someone who they liked and trusted. And they had to meet the right people. And luckily, we were the right people. So when we got our dog, it was a surprise for our 3 daughters, and we knew that they would probably pick out a really corny name for her. So we decided we were going to name her before she got home. And we were looking up really cool Japanese names, and Suki is delightful in Japanese. So we were like, that's an easy name. So when we got home, we were like, her name is Suki, and it stuck. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? She hasn't lived with another dog since she was born, but she eats faster than anybody. It's like somebody's going to take it away from her. This is our powder room. I love this wallpaper. It's like a zebra print in green. And then the basket weave tile floor, which is a favorite. And once we did it in this room, we did it in a lot of our other bathrooms throughout the house. Lastly, again, antique mirror in here. And then this was a piece off of the farm. It's like a great aunt or something. And you notice she's not smiling. So I think it's kind of fun to put that behind the toilet. So men have to look at her. She's obviously not a very happy person. Home is usually where the people you love are. And so I'm lucky enough, my daughters are grown, but they all come back to this house, luckily still. So we have a lot of celebrations in this house. We have had many over the years. We host birthday parties, and we have an annual Halloween party every year that's a huge bash. We have a Christmas Eve party every single year, so we entertain a lot in this house. So a lot of friends and family, and it's a great gathering spot. And we're lucky enough to have a home big enough, and we can make as much noise as we want in a townhouse, which is a big plus. But it's one of the great things about this home, because it's seen a lot of joyful celebrations here, and we'll continue to host those as long as we live here.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.